This is Rudkowski of WeAreChange.org, and I'm here with Richard Sheriff Mack, the only person I know as a sheriff who took on the president and beat his butt legally in a court of law. Now, Sheriff, how did you do that? Can you tell us
which president?
Yes, Bill Clinton.
President Bill Clinton, yeah.
And how did that case develop? How did it happen? If you could just give us the story of it.
Well, I was at a meeting with all the Arizona sheriffs in Phoenix, and the BATF came in and handed us a document to all the sheriffs, not just me, and said that you guys have to work for us now. And we're all going, what? When did this happen? They said, well, Congress passed the law, so you have to work for us. So well, that's real nice, except Congress doesn't have any authority over us. We don't work for Congress.
Yeah.
And it said, well, no, they passed a law. And I said, I don't care if they pass 50 laws or 5,000. I work for the people of Graham County. Congress cannot fire me, and they cannot hire me.
Yeah.
And they can't tell me what to do. So to stop that, I actually sued them. It was the Brady Bill. And so I told Bill Clinton and Janet Reno and Congress, you're not my boss. Stay out of our area, leave us alone, and if we need you, we'll call you. But the problem is the arrogance of the federal government saying, oh, you're just going to work for us now.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, then we won't send you any more money. You won't send us money? Where do you think you get your money? We won't send you any more money. And in fact, we need governors and legislatures in the local area and state
Who have brass balls like you.
who have some cojones to tell the federal government, we're not sending you any more money.
And the case went to the Supreme Court, if I'm correct?
Yes, it went all the way to the United States Supreme Court, and we won a 5-4 split, but we'll take a 5-4, you know, it's a victory. And it's the most powerful states' rights and 10th Amendment state sovereignty case in the history of our country. You know what it actually says? The states are not subject to federal direction. It says that in my court decision. Wouldn't you love your state to find that out?
Yeah. So you kicked the president in the butt legally, and then won in the Supreme Court, which is amazing. Now you're doing all these conventions, sheriff conventions, all over the country. I really like what you're doing, Sheriff, because you're bringing together different sheriffs and making them recognize the true power and authority they have within themselves to actually change laws and actually take their power back for themselves and for the people. Can you talk about what is your mission? What are you trying to get accomplished, and what exactly are you doing?
Well, just as you said, we're taking our message to every sheriff in the country. And we would love to have chiefs of police and just rank and file police officers on board with us also. Yeah. And in fact, that's who we're reaching out to. But quite frankly, our message is real simple. Keep your oath. Keep your word. Yeah. Follow the Constitution. What if the laws of your state are in direct conflict with the Constitution, like Rosa Parks? I want to ask every cop in the country, every sheriff, every chief, if you were called back into time to December 1st, 1955, when Rosa Parks was arrested, would you have arrested her? Would you enforce the law because you're a cop and you're going to enforce the law and you're supposed to enforce all laws? Yep. Or would you have sat down next to Rosa Parks, shook her hand, and made sure she got home safely? See, now that's a true peace officer. And what we need is fewer police state police officers and more oath keepers and CSPOA officers who will actually follow the Constitution.
It's a really difficult fight because a lot of police agencies, especially the local ones, get a lot of federal money for all these tanks and toys to militarize the police and to pretty much create a police state. But one thing that you're doing, which is strategic, is because the sheriff has a lot of authority. And it's a local position that anyone could go into. That not many people know about. Can you talk about the misconceptions and the true power that you have with this solution that you're offering everyone?
Well, it is a solution, and that's why I'm really glad you said that word. This is solution-oriented. And in 1985, there were about 3,000 SWAT team raids all across America. Last year, there were about 82,000. And so we want to stop that. And so the way we stop it is plain and simply taking our message to every sheriff, every cop, and saying, you know what, we've gone too far. And if we're really going to have a free country, we have to have sheriffs who are the only elected law enforcement officer in the country or in your county. Yep. And that's really where he gets his power. He gets it from we the people, directly from the voters. And that's the huge difference. He is there to serve them within the promise of his oath of office. And he promised all his citizens that he would what? Uphold, defend, protect, and preserve the United States Constitution.
And he has a lot of authority that people don't even know about, which is insane.
Well, when you're the only officer that reports directly to the power source, that's where you get your power. And he is the ultimate authority in his county. And if you look at the history of the sheriff, goes back over 1,000 years. He was always the ultimate authority, the ultimate conservator of the peace in the Shire. And so that's where he gets his name, the Reeve of the Shire, and that's Shire Reeve.
Is there any story personally that you know of a sheriff doing something really ethical, doing something good, like a really good story of a sheriff? Because I hear all these rumors. I'm at the bar sometimes, and they're telling me how the sheriff like took the mayor in and does all these things. Is there one story that you could share with us about?
Sheriff Finch in Liberty County, Florida. Sheriff Rogers in Elkhart County, Indiana, Sheriff Clark in Milwaukee, Sheriff Palmer in Oregon. Which one do you want?
How about the craziest story?
The craziest one? I would say the craziest one was Finch. Finch and Rogers both come close. Rogers told the FDA that if they didn't leave the Amish farmer alone, that he would arrest them.
Wow.
Arrest them. And guess what? They left. They haven't been back in 2 years.
That's awesome.
Finch's is probably a little crazier. Sheriff Finch in Liberty County, Florida, was arrested and booked into his own jail because he nullified the arrest of one of his citizens. Floyd Parrish was arrested. Why? He had a gun in his pocket. And was he a law-abiding citizen? Yes. Was he trying to commit a crime? No. Had he committed any crimes? No. Was he going to hurt anybody? No. Did he hurt anybody ever? No. But the cop arrested him because he didn't have his permit from the government to have a gun in his pocket. And Sheriff Finch came in and said, if the Second Amendment protects us from anything, it protects us from being arrested for just having a gun. And so Sheriff Finch released the man, dropped all the charges, told him to go and sin no more, if there was a sin there. And Sheriff Finch was arrested for doing that. And then he went to trial. Of course, they offered a Finch a plea bargain and said, hey, you know, if you just leave office, then we will drop all the charges. And Finch said, go to hell. And he went to court. I actually went to the trial, and it was the biggest farce. You talk about crazy. It was the biggest farce I've ever seen in a court of law. And the jury found him not guilty. And Sheriff Finch is sheriff again. And next Friday, he'll be speaking at our conference as the keynote speaker.
Beautiful, amazing. If you're a sheriff out there, or if you want to be a sheriff, contact Sheriff Mack. His website is going to be in the description. Honor, pleasure. Keep kicking ass and taking names, brother.
And if they'll quit being a captive of the television and start looking and listening to what happened to our country and what's going to happen if we let it keep on like it is, we'll have nothing.
We will never say we have to fight the powers that be. No, we have to empower the poor souls that are so victimized by their past and whatever emotional servitude has been imposed on them that they need to suffer